Pantaspukoti Shatavatsara Sampagamya Ayodhati Masori Punjavana Sokasti Yatrapasinya Vishinsyate Govindamadi Purusham Namah. Eko Pisara Chayatam Jagaranda Kotim Yatchaktirasti Jagaranda Chayaya Rata Adantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adi Purusham Samaham Vajami Yadbhava Bhavityo Manchasta Shaiva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasa Yajati Chukkaya Eva Nigamata Pitastu Amti Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratimabhitavi Tavirya Eva Nijarupa Jaya Kalami Goloka Eva Nityakirani Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Premanjanachyuta Bhakti Vilochane Santasadaiva Yeshu Lokayati Yam Shama Sundaram
Jincha Gunaswarupam
Govindamadi
Vindamadi Purusham Jami
Damadi Murti Sukhamani Ramena Krishna
Krishnan
Nanavataram Karotu Vaneshu Krishna Swayam Paramahamyo
Govindamadi
Govindamadi
Purusham Jami
Yasya Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Namah Bhajami. Yahi Yasya Jagaranda Shatara Sujale Traigunya Padvishayera Vitayamana Sattva Bhavam Vihara Sattvam Vishudha Sattvam Govindamadi Purusham
Jami
Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmakaya Namastu Yatraninam Patipalam Smaratam Lekya Jayatyagastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Golokanami Mukhatami Saleshatasya Devi Mahesha Harinama Suteshu Teshu Ete Prabhavan Chayavitascha Yena Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Srishti Sriti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Eka Tayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichhanurupam Yasya Chateshta Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Chiram Yatadati Vikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayate Naritata Pratyagasti Heto Yasambhutam Apita Samparikarya Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Diparchireva Santaram Abhyupesya Vibhayate Vivrtahetu Samanatama Yastadrigeva Krishna Vipati Govindamadi Tamam Bhajami Yakarnanarnavajale bhajati smayoga Nidramananti jagaranda saromakrupa Adhara shakti mavalamya param swamuti Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yasyaika nishvasitakala matavalamya Jivanti lona viraja jagarandamata Vishnu Mahasai Yasya Kalabhishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Asvanyatasma Sakaleshu Nijeshu Teya Sriyanki Yat Yati Tadvarastra Brahmaya Esha Jagaranda Vidhana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yatpada Pallava Yugam Dinitaya Tumba Vande Pranama Samaye Saganadi Raja Vignam Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Agnir Mahiga Mambru Marupishascha Kalasya Tatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vishanti Yamsa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yacchakshuras Esha Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Teja Yasyagyaya Bhakti Sangham Nishkala Chakru Govindamadi Purusham
Tamaham Bhajami.
Namo Papa Jaya Shrutayasta Pasmi Brahmari Kita Patavagata Vadayastra Diva Yadatta Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindam Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yastvindra Gopam Davindra Mahostakama Bandhanurupa Bhajana Matanoti Karmadi Nirdahati Kintu Chapati Bhaja Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yang Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Piti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Pavai Sanchit Tasya Sadushin Tanumapurete
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Never get this.
Shushti.
Shriya Kanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpataru Drupam Chintamani Ganamaito Yamamritam Kathaganam Natyam Samanam Apivam Shipriya Sati Chidanandam Chachitaram Api Sad Arasadyam Api. Okay.
Start with the Watch Mantra. So please repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitra Sarva
Avastam Gato Api Va Ya Maret Pundarikaksha Sa Vaya Avyantara Shuchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu I'll just follow it. They don't hurt me. They're not mosquitoes at least. No,
Om
not nasty.
Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha.
Madhavaya Namaha.
Om Vishnave Namaha. So now since we purified, so make sure you don't touch it on ears, nose.
Don't touch any of the bugs that are eating you. All right. Ready for the lecture? Okay, so Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Maybe they can move that incense because I will have trouble breathing. It's nice she's putting incense all around, but I'm sort of allergic to it. Okay. It's all right everywhere else. So, today we are celebrating initiation. So we're going to describe what initiation means, and of course this initiation is called Harinam initiation. There's several types of initiation, most of which we will not be discussing today. There's Harinam initiation, which means initiation into chanting the holy names. There's the Brahman initiation, Diksha, Brahman Diksha, which is initiation into chanting the Gayatri mantra. There is Sannyasa initiation, which you don't have to worry about that one. So there's Sannyasa initiation, in which one renounces the whole world. And some people have Vanaprastha initiation, in which one renounces the world but goes on serving Krishna with one's family. Actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur stated that's the preferable stage of sannyas in Kali Yuga. It's called Kshetra Sannyas. So there's different types of initiation. These initiations are called samskaras. Samskara basically means impression in Sanskrit. Just like sometimes you'll find someone with a lot of problems and you'll say that they have bad samskaras. Anyone's heard that expression before? So it doesn't mean ceremony, although many times it's taken as meaning ceremony. Because the reason it's taken as meaning ceremony is that the ceremony is meant to create an impression on the mind, subtle body, so that one can proceed very nicely in the spiritual path. So there's other samskaras in the Vedic tradition. I mean, there's the Garbhadan samskara, Namakarana samskara, and ultimately there's something called the, I guess his notes are flying away. Ultimately, there's what's called the Antyeshti samskara, which means hopefully back to home, back to Godhead, or maybe back to home, back to Yamaraj. That's Antyeshti is the funeral samskara. So the point is, this particular initiation is meant to create an impression in everybody's mind, not only the initiate. And so these impressions, these samskaras in our mind, are to help us focus on Krishna. So in this particular samskara, there are promises being made. And those promises in the modern world are sort of difficult. Especially the regulative principles: no meat, fish or eggs, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, and especially, I guess, here in Hawaii, no marijuana. Because it's grown everywhere here. So, and then, of course, there's the promise made to chant 16 rounds every day minimum on the beads. And His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada reduced that from 64 for us. Originally, Srila Prabhupada was asking us to chant 64 rounds, then Prabhupada reduced it to 32, and then 16, and that Prabhupada said no less. Now, the reason for chanting 16 rounds minimum, rather than just chanting when you feel like chanting, is that because we are conditioned souls, we often won't think of or feel like doing something. Because the mind, being restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong, sometimes tells us, I don't feel like chanting my japa today. Or tells us, I don't feel like waking up early in the morning to chant my japa or to perform my sadhana practice. So, therefore, these promises or vows are very important. In the Western world, promises and vows are not considered that important, and people often break their promises or break their vows And even when you have a contract with someone, and we're talking about business contracts, for example, there's always the fine print that details what to do if the contract is not fulfilled, because invariably the contract won't be fulfilled. So in the Western world, we don't take promises so seriously. In traditional Vedic culture, promises are taken extremely seriously. That's why Srila Prabhupada, when some of his first disciples didn't keep their promises, he was shocked. Because he said in polite society, human society, people keep their promises and obligations. So we have these impressions of promises being taken in front of Krishna, which Krishna is represented by the fire. Of course, the deities are inside. In front of Srila Prabhupada, the picture of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is manifest in this picture, just like the deities are manifest in their form. The deities are manifest in their picture. Krishna is manifest in his picture. Krishna is manifest in his holy name. So before the Vaishnavas, before Krishna's holy name, before the fire. So there's so many witnesses to this promise. So we are today we're asking Krishna to witness this particular promise. And we know when Krishna witnesses a promise, then he is actually duty bound to make sure the person fulfills the promise if the person wants to fulfill the promise. Of course, there's that interesting story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Shakshi Gopal. And this story, in a nutshell, was a story when there was an older Brahmin and a younger Brahmin traveling in Braj, that is the Vrindavan area. And the older Brahmin was being served by the younger Brahmin, so the younger Brahmin was promised by the older Brahmin that he could marry the older Brahmin's daughter. So eventually they travel all the way back to their home, and the older Brahmin's family didn't want to accept this particular promise. And of course this promise, just to backtrack a little bit, was made in front of the deity Gopal. And so the older Brahmana's family didn't want to comply with this promise because the older Brahmana's family was from a higher caste Brahmin family than the younger Brahmin's family. So in India you find this caste consciousness very prominent. So what happened is that this younger Brahmana went back to the deity and he said to this deity Gopal, "You've witnessed this promise, so somehow or other you have to come and bear witness in front of the family." Well, you get a microphone? Yeah. I'm pretty loud anyway, I think. That's what most people say. So, it's frightening. Frightened of myself. So, hopefully it'll drive away the bugs. So Krishna went not Krishna, but the younger Brahmin went before Krishna, the deity, Gopal, and said, "You have witnessed this promise, so therefore you should bear witness before the family of the older Brahmin." And Krishna said to him, because if you're a pure devotee, you can speak to the deities, and the deity will speak to you. So Krishna said to him, "Just go back, everything will be all right." And he said, whoops. Yeah, no incense near me, because I'm going to have a hard time speaking with incense. Not that close either. But you just put it.
Scroll straight.
So, it's a Hare Krishna disease from smelling too much incense over the years. It definitely adds up. And in some temples they had to replace the whole air conditioning system because it was clogged up with incense smoke. Anyway, apart from that, apart from my own biases. So, what happened is that Krishna said, just remember me, everything will be all right. And the younger Brahmin said, no, you have to come with me. And Krishna said, that's not possible. Who ever heard of a deity walking? Because at that particular time they didn't have airplanes for the deity to take. And the younger Brahmin said, yes, that's true. Whoever heard of the deity walking? But whoever heard of a deity talking? So if you can talk, you can walk. And in this way, because he was a pure devotee, he was able to defeat Krishna's logic. And Krishna walked all the way across India to witness that promise. So, and then the younger Brahmin got married to the older Brahmana's daughter, and they lived happily ever after, hopefully. So the point is that Krishna is witnessing this promise, and we should be very determined to keep our promises regardless of whatever may arise. And things arise in our lives. Many different challenges, many different situations. And I can say in my own life, I've always chanted my 16 rounds, followed the 4 regulator principles, even though many times I've been extremely sick, lying in bed with the beads in my hand, having to chant. And the only excuse for not chanting is basically if one's in a coma, because then you can't chant. But at least your friend should put a recording of Srila Prabhupada next to you if you're in a coma so you can hear the chant. Whoops. Okay, we'll tolerate. That's part of being a devotee. You have to tolerate. So promises are very important. So then the next question arises. It's climbing over the wall.
Higher on the other side here.
Okay.
Get the computer.
Yeah. No, don't put it there because it's too near the computer.
Oh, the magnet.
Yeah, not only the magnet, the sound.
Okay, I'll put it back.
Okay. He got him to stop. That's remarkable. Cooperative neighbors. So then the question arises, why should she make this promise? You know, what's the purpose of it? Why is she taking initiation? You know, because you have to have a why. In other words, there has to be, as we were speaking about this morning in class, there has to be a motivation for doing something. If one's simply doing it for, let's say, joining the Hare Krishna club, that really doesn't make it, or being interested in eating nicely, that doesn't make it either. So there has to be some interest in the ultimate goal of Krishna consciousness, which is called prayojana. What is that ultimate goal? That ultimate goal is actually to love Krishna. Because as the Bhagavatam tells us, Savai punsam paradharma yato bhakti rahosjay ahaitakiya pratyata yatma suprasidate. That's the only way the atma, or the soul, is going to be satisfied. I mean, we can try so many other means to be happy and satisfied. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that happiness in the mode of passion, which is generally the happiness that people are trying to get in this world, there's some nectar in the beginning, but then it's like poison at the end. But happiness in the mode of goodness, and especially transcendental happiness, is a little difficult in the beginning. You got to give up something, and you know, maybe like poison or difficult in the beginning, but then at the end, it's like nectar. Kevalananda Kanda. It's simply spiritual bliss. I mean, I've been doing the same thing, not exactly the same thing, but executing Krishna consciousness for the last 54 or 55 years. It's hard to remember because we're too old. But so many years, and it gets better all the time. And Maharaj too. You know, how many years have you been executing Krishna? 53 or 4. It's better all the time. Well, the body gets older, just like someone told me before class. You don't look the same way you did 20 years ago. Don't remind me. we don't really like to look in a mirror anymore. So the body gets old. So many health challenges may be there, but the happiness increases every day as long as one does not commit offenses against the devotees or offenses against the deities or any offense, and serves Prabhupada's mission and complies with the promises that are being made. It's better and better. I can tell you that firsthand. It's better every day. Pretty nice, isn't it? And then ultimately, after this lifetime, if you're completely pure, that's a very high bar, then you go back to Godhead, or you go where Krishna's pastimes are taking place. Or even if you're not so pure, let's say you're really advanced, then you get to be born in a devotee family. And the first words you hear, even while you're in the womb, are Hare Krishna. That'd be pretty nice. And then when you get out, Krishna consciousness. And if you're a little advanced, of course, Krishna says you don't lose anything from one lifetime to another. Then you get born or you appear in the heavenly planets. That's not so bad either. The mangoes, see, these are the little mangoes here. But the mangoes in the heavenly planets are bigger than this building. And they have no skin or pits. Wow. Better than Hawaii. I know I've committed an offense right now. I'll never get invited back after this. Dhammaparad. So it's yeah, Prabhupada said Hawaii is like such a yuga, basically. But the heavenly planets are almost infinitely better. And the people in the heavenly planets, they're so attractive, they look at us and we look like frogs to them. So, I mean, even if you're a little advanced, you go to the heavenly planets, and then after that, according to the Bhagavad Gita, you take birth in a wealthy family, so you have an opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness. But you have to take that opportunity. Nothing's guaranteed. But at least you don't lose from one lifetime to another. You're on the progressive path, and ultimately you'll be with Krishna. Ultimately you'll be serving and happy forever. That's pretty good. So there's many benefits. When giving a lecture, a presentation, usually I start out with him, which means what's in it for me. So that's what's in it for you. To become happy, satisfied. Everything else will not satisfy us ultimately. So that's the purpose. And so keeping that purpose in mind, the ultimate happiness, and also giving ultimate happiness to others. You know, one of the reasons I took up Krishna consciousness was to help others. My mother wanted me to be a doctor, and I said, that's nice, but if I help others being a doctor, will they not die? Will they attain some permanent help? And my mother said, of course not, but still you should be a doctor. And I said, why? She said, to please her. And I said, that's not a good idea. So I was not very submissive. So in any case, then I thought I want to do something spiritual to help people in a real way, to help them overcome the miseries of this material world. And I was looking, and by Krishna's grace, I came in contact with Prabhupada. I mean, I heard Prabhupada on the radio chanting. That was my initial contact. I was just trying to listen to some nonsense mundane songs. And then all of a sudden there was Hare Krishna, Brahmanda Brahmate Konna Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Vai Bhakti Latapish. I got the creeper of devotion in my heart just by hearing Prabhupada. And then one thing led to another, reading Prabhupada's books, and Tulsi, that's good. Then I gave my life to Srila Prabhupada. So it was by Prabhupada's mercy, I'm here. So anyway, so this is by the mercy of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and we are serving his mission, and part of initiation, in addition to the vows, is the promise to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. because this is a mission that will create a revolution in the misdirected lives of an impious civilization. Tadvad Visargo Jantaga Viplavo Yasmin Prati Shlokam Bhadavachapi Namananantasha Yasho Nikatani Yat Shrinvanti Gayanti Shrinvanti Sadavaha. So, anyway, so as far as the chanting of the 16 rounds, Prabhupada at initiation ceremonies, he would always talk about the 10 offenses against chanting, 10 things you need to avoid. Now, I usually like to present the 10 offenses in a positive way. Not that they are positive, but we can look at them in a positive way. For example, the first offense is to blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their holy names, dedicated to the propagation of the holy names. So the positive aspect of that is we should serve the devotees of the Lord. Take the positive. Because if you take the positive, we serve, we respect, we honor the devotees of the Lord, then you won't commit the negative. If we see all devotees connected to Krishna and all living entities connected to Krishna, yastu sarvani bhutani atmana evanu pashati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tatol, then we will honor all living entities. What to speak of devotees? So, another offense, the second offense, is to consider, of course this is not one anyone here in Hawaii is subject to, maybe yourself, but anyway, is to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma and others to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. I don't think we have too many demigod worshippers here. No. Any demigod worshippers? So it's not a problem. The holy name of Lord Vishnu is directly Vishnu. The demigods, generally, their names are names of the position, except in the case of Lord Shiva. So you could become Indra, you could become Brahma, you could become Vayu, you can become any of these demigods, if you wish. Good luck. So, you have my blessings to become a demigod if you want. I do not want to become a demigod. I have enough trouble being a GBC. Because the demigods are administrators of the universe, and I could just imagine what it would be like to be an administrator of the universe. It'd be problematic. So, next offense is to disobey the order of the spiritual master. One need not follow the spiritual master blindly. One has the right to ask a question. You know, why are you asking this? Giving some feedback. Like Prabhupada said, blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. He says this in the Bhagavad Gita. But we should understand the spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, is trying his best to engage the disciple in Krishna consciousness and give guidance in Krishna consciousness. So the next offense is one should not blaspheme Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. This also means any religious tradition that is glorifying God and advocating the worship of God, we should respect. That's all. We don't criticize the Bible, the Quran, or any of these literatures. Now, they may not be the postgraduate study of God as the Vedic literatures, as the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita is. But still, we respect all these literatures, just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Even amongst the Vedas, he says, Trigunya Vishya Veda Nis Trigunya Bhavarjana, Nirdvandvo Nitrasatmasto, Niryogat Even most of the Vedas are dealing with three modes of nature to gradually bring people up to a higher platform. So, and next offense is to think of the glories of chanting Hare Krishna or imagination, not a fact. Namakshin Tamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukto Vinatvam Namanamino. The name is different, non-different from Krishna. It is pure, uncontaminated, etc. So when you're chanting, you're directly dealing with Krishna. Next offense to be avoided is to give some perverted interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. There are bona fide meanings of the holy name. For example, when you chant Hare Krishna, you're chanting, O energy of the Lord, Hare, Radharani, Vakadev. please let me serve Krishna, engage me in service to Krishna. Also, the Acharyas have described the name Krishna as being composed of two syllables, Krish and Na. Krish means to attract, Na means Ananda or bliss. So Krishna attracts us, and he gives us bliss or Ananda or happiness. So we should also understand that insofar as our approaching other people to bring them to Krishna consciousness, that we should attract them rather than push them. Because when you attract people with something positive, then people are more likely to take it up and stick to it than when you try to tell them what they have to do or you berate them. I remember the first time I walked into a temple, because there were no deities there, it was picture Panchatattva. The devotees tried to push me into becoming a devotee. And they told me I was going to hell. I felt it was like the Christians, or a Hare Krishna version of the Christians. And they told me unless I joined, immediately shaved off all my hair, which I was very proud of, then I was going to be living underground, because Kali Yuga was coming, eating human flesh, be short as a dwarf. And at that point I said, I don't want any part of this movement. So what I did is I avoided the devotees for some time. Then, fortunately, I met Prabhupada, and that was it. Then I understood. He was someone who was attracting me by his compassion, by his love for all living entities, his causeless love. One thing that attracted me about Prabhupada was that Prabhupada loved everyone, including me, of course, and it was causeless. It wasn't based upon what I could do for him, but it was based on his pure spiritual concern for me, which I had never experienced before in my interactions with anyone in this world. I mean, no one before that. So, anyway, so one should be careful in presenting Krishna consciousness. We should attract people, but not concoct meanings of the holy name. Next offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. That's something like chanting your rounds, smoking marijuana is Hawaii, and then thinking everything will be all right. It helps me concentrate more. I know people talk like that. That is against Krishna's instructions. So what is sin? Okay. I think we have to define it. Sin means basically to disobey Krishna. That's sin. That's all. Very simple definition of sin, to disobey the order of Krishna. And of course, sin is divided into two aspects. There's vikarma and karma. Karma means like pious activities that are disobeying the order of Krishna, and vikarma means impious activities disobeying the order of Krishna. Impious activities send you to my friend Yamaraj. Anyway, we won't get into that. So, the next offense, thing to be avoided, is to consider chanting to be like a ritual. Mentioned in the Vedas like the karma kanda rituals. Karma kanda rituals are rituals meant to give you some material elevation. And it's not like that. Chanting is not a ritual. And of course, we also have some rituals in the Krishna consciousness movement. For example, even the dhoti I'm wearing is sort of a ritual. It's a tradition, but you can wear a dhoti and be the biggest materialist. For example, I think Ravana used to wear dhotis. So this is not spiritual clothes. And some of you are not wearing karmic clothes because there's no such thing as karmic clothes, and there's no such thing as spiritual clothes. Great devotees dress according to the necessity as far as presenting Krishna consciousness. That's all. So dress does not make a devotee. So these are considered rituals. They're traditional. I dress like this because I like it, and it's part of my tradition, helps me remember Krishna. That's fine. But anyone could be Krishna conscious, dressed in any way that they like, as long as they're dressed. This is Hawaii. I forgot about that. As long as they're dressed nicely, respectfully, that's fine. I have no objection. And Krishna has no objection either. Because Krishna sees what's in the heart, not what's in the dress. You could put on a show of being a devotee, but then you may be a Kali Chela. Kali Chela means a disciple of Kali, like Kali Yuga type of stuff. Okay, so chanting Hare Krishna is not a ritual. We have rituals that help us, that are secondary, that help us in Krishna consciousness. Yes, they help us remember Krishna, like my wearing a dhoti helps me remember Krishna. And also when I'm talking to people, it helps people remember that I'm a spiritual authority. It's interesting, for some time I tried to present Krishna consciousness dressed in Western clothes to people, but I found that people didn't respect or listen to me as much as when I wore a dhoti. So I wear a dhoti. That's all. But otherwise, whatever's effective, that's how I will dress. Okay, and next offense is to preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. Let me explain that in a positive way. Instead, we should try to understand who we're talking to before we explain consciousness. That's all. Just listen to someone, look at someone, understand their nature, and then present Krishna consciousness accordingly, as much as someone can bear to hear. You know, you can say to someone, just chant Hare Krishna and you'll be happy. That may be enough. That may be all they're ready to hear at this particular juncture. Or you can present esoteric things to people if they're ready to hear more. You can talk about the finer points of philosophy. But whenever someone is ready to hear, but don't try to give them more. Like, for example, if you try to explain the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam to people on the street, it really will not help them become Krishna conscious. So Krishna gives the direction in the Gita about the austerities of speech. Satya Priya Hitam. Speak pleasingly, truthfully, and beneficially. Of course, he also says regularly recite the Vedic literatures, but as far as presenting Krishna consciousness, remember those 3 things. Satya Priya Hitam. Truthfully, pleasingly, beneficially. And use your ears to hear from the person before you speak. As I often say, and many people say, Krishna gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're supposed to use the ears twice as much as the mouth. But many times, because we have the best philosophy in the world, we tend to use our mouth 10 times more than our ears. That's a problem. And that drives play. So, hear from people, be interested in them, and present Krishna consciousness accordingly. So that's the positive of that. And then finally, the last offense is to be inattentive while chanting. That's not the last. The last offense is to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. So it's not offensive to have material attachments, but the offense is to try to increase the material attachments. So instead we should be thinking about our anarthas, attachments, and how they're impeding us in our goals. Not simply thinking of giving them up, but thinking of why we should give them up. Because they're impediments. That's all. It's like, if your car breaks down, then, of course, you have to fix whatever is broken, but you should think of why you want to fix what's broken and why is you want to use it and go someplace. And then also it's mentioned that it is offensive to be inattentive while chanting. And the cure for inattentiveness is to think, as I said in the beginning of this whole discussion, one should think of one's goals in life, what one wants. And then you have the focus, what's called a sankalpa, which was done. You haven't done the sankalpa yet. Which sankalpa means your intention, why you're chanting. If you think about why you're doing something, you're more likely to be attentive. Okay? And so that's the chanting of Hare Krishna. And the better you chant Hare Krishna, the more you will advance in Krishna consciousness. And the more people you can get to chant Hare Krishna, you get Krishna's special mercy. That's really important. We are for lack of a better word, a preaching movement. Of course, preaching has sort of like a negative connotation now. Let's say a sharing movement. we're meant to share this most wonderful thing and feel compassion for others. And the more you do that, Krishna says in the Gita, he says, the people who do that are very dear to him, and they will never be one more dear than those who do that. Okay, so that's my initiation talk. So now we'll proceed with the name giving. How about that? And so you need to have someone put your neck beads on. Well, first, put your neck beads on first. Someone, one of the ladies, put the new neck beads on. Are they here or the neck beads? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. All right, and then, okay, so then you offer obeisances to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Somehow or other, I think it's hard to get around here. Then you should also offer obeisances to Maharaj here, the great Vaishnava. Offer obeisances. From there, you can offer, because I'm not going to be practical, move around. And then, I guess you offer obeisances to my not so humble self. Hate to call myself humble. Devotees write their messages sometimes, your humble servant, and I think, I can never write that. So anyway, I'm not humble, and, well, of course, I am a servant of Krishna. So, how many rounds do you chant every day? 16. So, chanting 16 minimum every day. And if you can chant more on Ekadasi, you see what's practical. I try on Ekadasis, unless I have a lot to do, I try to chant 64 rounds on Ekadasi. I don't advocate that for everyone, but it's always good to chant a little more rounds on Ekadasi. And Ekadasi, the main purpose of Ekadasi is to develop our relationship with Krishna in a very deep fashion. Many people present Ekadasi as something negative. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Can't eat beans, you can't eat grains, you can't watch the news. That's what I do. I can't look at the news on Ekadasi. That's my biggest austerity. So you can't watch the news, you can't, so many things. So instead of presenting something negative, and some people even talk about something called the Papa Purusha, I don't talk about stuff like that. I say it's a special day for connecting to Krishna. A very special day you can connect to Krishna. An opportunity. The chanting becomes more ecstatic. Everything becomes more ecstatic in serving Krishna and the Ekadasi. Okay. And so, okay, and the four regulated, so chanting 6 rounds, what are the four regulated principles? Yeah. No intoxication.
I'm intoxicated on the name right now.
Yeah, get intoxicated on the name and Krishna service. Okay, so you get the beads with your right hand. Ready? So your name now is Krishna Shakti Devi Dasi. Krishna Shakti Devi Dasi Ki Jai. That means Krishna's potency. It's also indirectly a name of Srimati Radharani, but Krishna Shakti, it also refers to the potency to preach Krishna consciousness. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kali Kalerindana Krishna Nama Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Vinanahe Tari Pravartana. That without Krishna Shakti, the potency of Krishna, no one can spread Krishna consciousness. It's a nice name, isn't it? Krishna Shakti Devi Dasi Ki Jai. All right, so let's proceed with the fire aspect of the ceremony. Okay, that's all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, do you want this or?
It's not going to be practical unless there's a stand.
I saw a stand. Is that a stand? No. No, that's all right. No, if you don't want it.
We do the sankalpa. First one is a simple one, and then second one. Take water in your right hand. Drop of water. Just hold it until I tell you to. At the end, you release it on the ground when I tell you. You can hold water
Oh,
in your right hand.
yeah, that is my right.
Let you.
That is my right hand.
You just hold it until I do the something.
Okay. Oh, you want me to hold it while you're doing the sankalpa? Okay, I'm holding.
So please repeat after me. Om
Om
Tat
Tat
Sat
Tat
Shri Govindo
Shri Govinda
Shri Govindo
Shri Govinda
Govindo
Govinda
Asyan
Sham
Shubhatito
Vatito
Achyuta Gotra.
Achyuta Gotra
Everyone can say their individual name.
Krishna Goswami.
Devasaha. Shri Krishna
Shri Krishna
Prityatham
Prityatam
Upanayanam
Upayanam
Samskaram
Samskaram
Karmaham
Karmaham
Karishyami.
Karishyami.
So leave the water on the ground, sliding your fingers through your fingers. Then the next one, just I do it myself. Om Vishnu Om Tatsat Asya Brahmano Dvitiya Pararde Shveta Varaha Kalpe Vevasvatrakya Manvantare Ashtavimshati Kali Yugasya Prathama Sandhyayam Brahma Vimshato Vartamanayam Gaurabda Samvatsare Shubha Ayane Shubha Ruto Shubha Mase Shubha Pakshe Shubha Titho Shubha Varanitayam Shubha Nakshatra Samyutayam Jambudvipe Bharata Khande Medhi Bhutasya Sumirahu Dakshine Navanar Namastuttare Kone Gangaya Pachime Bhage Achyuta Gotra Adi Devadasaha Shri Krishna Prityatham Upanayana Samskara Karmaham Karishyami. Sanat Kumaro Vatu Kamadevad Naya Shri Shamam Ati Deva Helanat Devarshi Varyaha Purusharchanantara Purmo Harirmam Nyayat Ateshat Srimad-Bhagavatam 6:17. So we're going to start the yajna. At the same time, somebody can chant the Mahamantra on the, can do the kirtan.
Kirtan. Padaya Daya Budale Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Tinamane Saraswati Deve Nipacharane Nivasesha Shunyavadi Pachane Shri Krishna Jaya Nityananda Krishna Vedanta Nityananda Dvaita Radha Asadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Hare,
The grains in front of you. So whenever you say swaha, you offer very gently in the fire without touching this finger. So basically you hold it like this. This very small quantity whenever you say swaha. So basically you have to chant after me, but everyone else can chant also after me. Right? Sorry? If you want to do Atman again, you can, but we already did. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just hold the grain like small quantity, and whenever we say
You're going to need more wood in the fire. It's going to go out in a little while.
So, you ready? Yeah, everyone can repeat after me too. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya
Om Ganatimirandasya
Anjana Shalakaya
Ananjana Shalakaya
Shurun Militam Yena
Militam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Swaha 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 Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Namo Vishlam
Apitam Yena Bhutale
Ramuna Bhutale
Rupa Kadamayam
Pagadamayam
Dati Padantikam
Dati Swapadantikam Swaha 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 Mandeham Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shivrupam Sagrajatam Hagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Rijna Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivakam Tamscha Swaha 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 Nahom Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate
Krishna Goswami Iti Namine Swaha
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 Swaha Swaha
Nama Om
Nama Om
Vishnupadaya
Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Swaha 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 Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Swaha 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 Nama Om Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shivarshabhanavi Devi Doitaya Kripabdehe Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Swaha 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 Adurya Ujjala Premaja Rupanuga Bhaktida Gaura Gona Shakti Naya Namostute Namaste Mani Stini Tapa